Hi, my name is Michelle Vandevord. I am the Associate Director for Saskatchewan First Nation Emergency Management. I'm also currently the President of the Aboriginal Firefighters Association of Canada. A message I'd like to give today is about preparing for an evacuation. Right now in Saskatchewan, we are going through multiple evacuations in our First Nation communities. And an important component of being prepared for an evacuation is having a bag ready to go. As soon as you're notified that there is a fire threat near your community, you should start preparing. We find that a lot of times people leave it until last minute, until doors are being knocked on. And what will happen is you will forget a lot of key things that you'll need when you're away from your home. So, one of the first things you should do is you're hearing about a fire that is relatively close to the community, it's still not a threat. That's the time to start preparing. Actually, you should have this bag ready at your door before an event even happens. But it's even more important when you know there is a fire threat to make sure to go quickly through that bag and have everything that you need for at least a 2 week stay away from your home. So some of the key items that you'll want in an extended stay away from home during an evacuation are your personal ID, making sure you have all of your medications. You might want to take even some valuables, not all, but some valuables. A lot of people take their personal records, making sure you have enough clothes for at least 2 weeks, which is sometimes hard, especially for larger families, because you will be limited to how much luggage you can take on, for instance, buses. Um, Try and have cash ready on hand for when you're in a host community. For children, making sure you have enough diapers and milk for a few days. Another important thing to have ready is making sure that you have not just money and your for elders, your pills and all of your walking necessities and aids, is making sure that your youth is involved with the planning and preparing and helping elders as well. I find that a lot of times kids are not involved in this process, and it's a very good learning opportunity for youth and getting them involved in the process because during that time they can be very um, helpful with our elders in the community. You could strategically have the youth helping elders, and in that way, nobody would be forgotten, and the elders would have that assistance, which they may not have within their families, of making sure that they've remembered everything that they need to be away from their home communities. The way an evacuation usually rolls out is the community will know there's a threat. That threat will get closer and closer to your community until, at a very last minute's notification, there will be people going door to door asking the community to get ready to leave at a moment's notice. Here in Saskatchewan, we actually just had an evacuation where two communities evacuated in the middle of the night, which is very stressful, also very hard to plan for if you haven't done that pre-planning. And that's why it's so important, especially if you're living in the forested area or the boreal forest, to always have those kits ready to go. It saves time and it'll make your stay in a host community much more bearable and easier if you have everything you need from home. It's something that always seems to fall through the cracks, and it's
Okay.
always a big challenge is communications. So when most times the Red Cross will try and keep families together, but it's also a challenge when families are leaving the community at different times. So if you have families who are leaving earlier with their own transportation, and then you have your other family coming on a bus, it makes it very strategically hard to keep family units together. So we're very fortunate in this day and age that we have cell phones and we can stay connected to our families that way. But it's unfortunate that sometimes you may not be in the same hotel and sometimes not even in the same city as your family, which is hard, especially when you have elders to take care of and you're separated. So we've seen that quite a few times. So I think a big part of that is trying to leave the community together as a family would be an easier way to stay together as a family during an evacuation. If families are able to keep, with the price of gas right now, even
Exactly,
that is a
exactly.
challenge on reserve. A lot of our First Nation communities, not a lot, but some may not have gas stations directly in their communities. And what we found with the Red Cross is when a community is being evacuated, they will work very closely with the community store to make sure that anybody who's able to self-evacuate, that they're getting fuel at the store before they leave. But there are cases where, if it's a smaller store at the smaller gas station, a lot of times the community store will run out of gas and then you're left to having to get on a bus to evacuate. So pre-planning even your ride, and that's why I said as soon as you know that your community is a threat and a fire is coming, it's important to have all of your plans in place, right from everything that you're going to need to leave your home to how you're going to leave your home is very important as well. It's something that seems to be forgotten about a lot is pets because most times the only way that you're usually able to take a pet is if you're evacuating in your own vehicle.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, it's very hard for families who have to get on a bus or a school bus or, on community transportation. They have no choices. You have to leave your pet behind. It's very important leaving food for your animals, making sure you have enough water out, and also making sure that people staying home in the community to take care of your animals, that they know how to maybe get into your house if you can trust your security teams on reserve. I know that's something that's happening in one of our communities in Saskatchewan is they're going door to door checking on pets. I seen it in 2015 in Larange where security was um, going around the community and feeding the pets that were outside. It gets a lot harder when your pets are locked in the house, and
Right.
that's a huge challenge. Evacuations are always going to be stressful. I think an important thing to keep in mind is have faith in your leadership that they're doing everything that they can to make sure everybody gets out safe. And I know every First Nation leader across Canada always have their band members' safety in mind, trusting the processes, trusting the preparedness of not just yourselves and us as individuals, but knowing that our leaderships will take care of us. And the calmer people are, the easier the actual leaving of the community can be. When everybody starts panicking, um, I know we hear of accidents happening on the highway, and leaving the community itself is very dangerous if you have lots of smoke in the community. So the more coordinated that process is, which means everybody just taking a little bit more time and not rushing, it'll be an easier process to leave. So a big part of preparedness that I don't think we think of on reserve is protecting our own homes. So thinking about programs such as Fire Smart, having your own sprinklers ready on your home, and then just turning the water on. Like a lot of times we're left to protect ourselves. The province gets busy, um, resources provincially run out. So the more you're able to even just think about putting a sprinkler up on your home before you leave, or when you know that threat is coming, and then it's just a matter of turning on that sprinkler before you leave, could save your home, could save the block. Another thing to think about is protecting your home before evacuations and also thinking about smoke detectors and just home safety in general and how all of these things put together really makes all of us more fire smart, and home fire safety should always be on everybody's mind. So even before an evacuation, before a threat, making sure that your home is fire smart, that your smoke alarms are working, and you have a go bag ready. Preparedness is key to making sure that you can come home to your house, making sure that you can come home to your community. And it's all about being prepared, right from our individual selves to our chief and council. Everybody plays a part in our community.